Hey guys, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here. And today I want to talk about the US Army because the US Army wants to identify people seeing through walls. Now, here's what's going on, and this is according to NextGov, and I think it's absolutely fascinating and terrifying at the same time. According to a recent request for information, the Army is currently accepting white papers to identify commercially available technologies that could help spur its development of and I quote, sense through the wall system. Now, in the Army's ideal world, that system would distinguish for soldiers exactly what and precisely who is behind the other side of solid structures and accurately identify them. Now, according to the Army's RFI, and I quote, the intent of this market survey is to identify potential man-portable systems that give the soldier the ability to detect, identify, and monitor persons, animals, and materials behind multi-leveled obstructions from a long standoff range. The sensor system would also be able to map the structure and detect hidden rooms, passages, alcoves, caches, etc., including those underground. Now, basically, they want a system and devices that will support soldiers as they make critical life and death decisions. This technology would give them the ability to, and I quote, track, locate, isolate, range, and count personnel and animals in a building or structure. Would also need to be able to classify whether people inside are sitting or standing and simultaneously confirm if they are a hostile or an ally. And so that is very fascinating, and they are planning on that identification purpose through biometric data, which could be most likely facial recognition. So we are talking about wall penetrating technology that is hyper accurate. Now, soldiers would also be able to rely on this to determine whether there were any traps or explosives or hidden weapons within the structure that can basically collect that data to build 3D maps of these buildings in question. The system would also penetrate through dense foliage, according to the Army, and all of this information it collects would need to be accessible by soldiers through wireless infrastructure such as tablets that they are carrying on the ground in combat. And so the question that I have, and this is absolutely fascinating, imagine a technology that could keep a soldier safe simply by peering directly into a building, identifying a hostile, and then allowing the soldiers to safely plan action, around that enemy or through that enemy or whatever that is. But what happens when a technology like this that would be owned by the Department of Defense, the Pentagon, aka the US government, leaves the Pentagon and starts entering the local police station? And that's what we've seen. By virtue of the Iraq War, there has been a lot of light infantry weaponry that has been transferred from the military to the local police. We're talking about fully loaded tactical armor personnel carriers, et cetera, et cetera. And if this technology becomes more widely available, imagine what the police would be able to do, not just in a hostile situation, but just the ripeness for abuse in this. Not saying the police would necessarily abuse it, but it's always a possibility when you've got this kind of technology. We know that surveillance right now, pretty much without a warrant here in the United States, has been exploding. Amazon has actually been spearheading that, working with over 600 law enforcement agencies, not just on the Ring doorbell, but also allowing police to go in there without a warrant, enabling a facial recognition system that the ACLU and others have proven has severe false positives. And now if Amazon, let's say, jumps into this game and starts creating this technology, could they integrate it into the next consumer product? That might be a very serious issue. How are we controlling this kind of data? How are we maintaining our privacy if law enforcement or military or anybody, let's say from a local government or otherwise, could literally just use this and peer in your house through multiple obstructions? So even if you're sitting in your basement 5 walls down, they would be able to see you and ID you via biometrics, probably pairing it with Amazon's facial recognition system. So this is the problem and the issue, and it's kind of cool, but it's kind of scary. And so I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, but this technology is actively being sought after by the US military, who most of us know has very deep pockets to get this kind of stuff done. And so I'm very curious to see the wider scope of the use of this, not just keeping soldiers safe, in a battlefield or a combat zone, but how is this going to be used potentially against citizens in violation of our privacy We'll see. And I'm curious, again, to know your thoughts on that. And so that is your news of the day. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well, where you do not have to peer through walls to see my face. And as always, stay safe and stay online. Thanks, guys.